The day started like any other Saturday. You know the kind? Where your biggest worry is getting the burgers just right and wondering if your daughter will roll her eyes at another one of your corny jokes. The air in our backyard was filled with the familiar scent of charcoal, sunscreen, and that deep, comforting peace families spend years building. My 16-year-old daughter, Madison, was laughing with her mother, Victoria. It was that pure, uninhibited laugh only teenagers have before life has a chance to show its darker side. She was safe. She was happy. She was exactly where a daughter should be, home with her parents without a single worry. And then, in an instant, our world shattered. The backyard gate didn't just open. It felt like it exploded inward. 5 men stormed through, their boots thundering on the ground. Gang members. Their faces were hard, their eyes colder than steel, with tattoos snaking up their necks like warning signs. The man in front was Marcus Rodriguez. The gang descended on them like a pack of wolves. The chaos was swift, brutal. They shoved Madison, struck Victoria, and tore through our peaceful home, turning our sanctuary into a cage. I was bound, but the sight of my family being attacked ignited something primal in me. A surge of adrenaline, pure and raw, pulsed through my veins. The chain felt less like a restraint and more like a challenge. With a guttural roar, I strained against it, the metal links groaning under the pressure. My muscles screamed, but my focus was singular. Protect them. I twisted, turned, and pulled with a strength I never knew I possessed. One of the thugs, distracted by my struggle, made a fatal mistake. He got too close. I lunged, using my bound arms like a weapon, catching him off guard and sending him stumbling back. That small victory created an opening. It was just a sliver of a chance, but it was all I needed. As he fell, he dropped a small, heavy object from his pocket. Clattered on the patio, stones a small but solid metal tool. While the others were still focused on Victoria and Madison, I used my feet to drag it closer. My heart hammered against my ribs, each beat a drum of war. With my hands still chained, I contorted my body, fumbling with the tool. It was clumsy, almost impossible, but the image of Madison's terrified face burned in my mind. The chain was my prison, and this simple tool was the key. Then Rodriguez turned his attention back to me. His eyes were filled with a chilling mix of amusement and annoyance. "Look at this hero," he sneered, his voice dripping with venom. "Think you can do something?" He started walking toward me, slow and menacing, like a predator cornering its prey. He didn't see the tool in my hands. He didn't see the fire in my eyes. He only saw a man on his knees, defeated. He was wrong. As he got closer, I managed to get a better grip. I knew I had one shot. He raised his hand, ready to strike, and in that split second, I acted. Swung my bound arms upward with all my might, the heavy chain and the tool I gripped becoming a makeshift flail. The impact was solid. It connected with his arm, and a crack echoed through the yard. Rodriguez howled in pain, stumbling back, his face a mask of shock and rage. The tables had turned. The other gang members, seeing their leader injured, hesitated for a crucial moment. Their confidence wavered. That was my cue. I surged to my feet, the chain still binding me, and charged. I wasn't a father at a barbecue anymore. I was a protector, a force of nature driven by love and fury. I slammed into the nearest man, sending him crashing into his friends. They were disorganized, unprepared for this level of resistance from someone they had written off as helpless. Victoria, seeing her chance, grabbed a heavy garden gnome from the flower bed. She swung it with the ferocity of a mother defending her child, striking one of the men who was trying to grab Madison. He went down hard. Kay Madison, no longer frozen in fear, scrambled away, putting distance between herself and the chaos. We were fighting back, not as victims, but as a family. The quiet suburban backyard had become a battlefield, and we were holding our ground. The sounds of our struggle, the grunts, the shouts. The thud of blows replaced the laughter that had filled the air just minutes before. But the fight wasn't over. Rodriguez, clutching his broken arm, his face contorted with hate, pulled out a phone. "You're all dead," he spat, his voice trembling with fury. He was calling for backup. I knew we were running out of time. The momentary advantage we had gained was about to evaporate. I had to end this now. I looked at Victoria, a silent understanding passing between us. We had to get Madison out. I charged at Rodriguez again, not to fight him, but to create a path. Get Madison inside. Lock the doors. I yelled to Victoria. She didn't hesitate. She grabbed Madison's arm and pulled her toward the house. Two of the remaining gang members tried to block their path, but I intercepted them. I was a whirlwind of motion, a blur of chains, and desperate strength. I wasn't trying to win. I was just trying to buy time. I absorbed blows that would have dropped me on any other day. But today, pain was just a distant echo. All that mattered was the sound of the back door slamming shut and the click of the lock. They were safe. At least for the moment. Now it was just me and them. 3 gang members, 1 enraged leader, and me, a father armed with nothing but a chain and a burning will to survive. They surrounded me, their earlier arrogance replaced with a grim determination. The fight was far from over. In fact, it felt like it was just beginning. Rodriguez, cradling his arm, gave a chilling smile. "Now," he said, his voice low and dangerous, "it's just us." The afternoon sun beat down on the wrecked patio, on the shattered remnants of our perfect Saturday. And I knew, standing there in the ruins of my peaceful life, that I would have to become something else entirely to see my family again. The fight that followed was a brutal ballet of survival. They came at me from all sides, a flurry of fists and feet. I moved, I blocked, I swung the heavy chain like an extension of my own arms. Each clang of metal against bone was a victory. Each blow I took a reminder of what was at stake. I wasn't just fighting for myself. I was fighting for the life we had built, for every laugh, every shared meal, every quiet moment of peace. My body was screaming in protest, bruises blooming across my skin, but my mind was clear, focused. I knocked one man down, then another. The odds were still against me, but they were dwindling. Just as I thought I was gaining the upper hand, I heard the wail of sirens in the distance. Someone must have called the police. Rodriguez heard it too. A look of pure panic flashed across his face. He barked an order at his remaining man, and they turned to flee. They scrambled back through the broken gate, disappearing as quickly as they had arrived. I was left standing alone in the wreckage, my breath coming in ragged gasps, the adrenaline beginning to fade, leaving an ocean of pain in its wake. I stumbled to the back door and collapsed against it. "Victoria, Madison." I called out, my voice hoarse. The door opened and they were there, their faces tear-streaked, but safe. We held each other, a shattered but unbroken family, surrounded by the ruins of our perfect day. But as the sirens grew closer, a new, cold dread settled in my stomach. This wasn't the end. It was the beginning of a war. And Marcus Rodriguez now had a personal reason to see it through to the bitter end. He knew where we lived, and he would be back. If you've ever felt that primal need to protect the ones you love, you know the journey is just beginning. What would you do to keep your family safe? "Watch, old man," Marcus growled. I couldn't move, couldn't protect them. I couldn't stop what happened. And in a single moment, the life I built, the quiet suburban disguise shattered. They dragged Madison away, leaving her critically injured. The sirens arrived too late. The hospital lights blurred. The world lost sound. And when I woke up hours later inside my own home, they had left me bruised, battered, and chained to the floor beside a stain of the life we once had. Victoria sat in the corner, her clothes torn, her lips split, her hands shaking uncontrollably. "Where is she?" I asked through a jaw that felt broken. "Hayes Hospital," Victoria whispered. "Ethan. They hurt her badly. The doctors said she might not make it through the night." Silence, cold, heavy, final. That was the moment the last piece of the man I pretended to be cracked apart. For 6 years, I was Ethan Blake, mechanical engineer, boring dad, the guy who grilled burgers and showed up to PTA meetings with a smile. But before that, I was Chief Petty Officer Blake Devgrew, one of the Navy's shadows, the kind of man governments send when the goal isn't negotiation but elimination. That man woke up again, not because I wanted him to, but because my daughter needed him. I stood up slowly, cataloging injuries like I'd been trained to do. 3 cracked ribs, bruised kidney, maybe a concussion. Pain didn't matter. Breathing didn't matter. Nothing mattered except Madison. "Did you call the police?" I asked. "Of course," Victoria said, her voice hopeless. "But they can't do anything. They said it's gang-related. They said Rodriguez controls the whole area." That almost made me laugh. The cops couldn't do anything, but ghosts could. "Victoria," I said quietly, "you need to go be with Madison. Stay with her. Do not come home until I call you." Her eyes widened with fear. "What are you going to do?" I looked at her, not as Ethan the engineer, but as the man she never truly met. "I'm going to remind some people why they should never crossed our gate." That was the moment she realized the truth. The man who grilled burgers for her wasn't the whole story. He was just the cover. After she left, I went to the basement. Behind the Christmas decorations and boxes labeled old blankets was a safe. Victoria thought it held documents. It held my past. The SIG P226 fit into my hand like it never left. The knife slid into my boot like a whisper. The encrypted satellite phone blinked with life after 7 years of silence. I dialed a number I swore I'd never call again. Colonel Harrison answered. "Well," he whispered, "I'll be damned. Ethan Blake, heard you were dead. Not yet, but some people are about to wish they were. This is about your family, isn't it? They hurt my daughter. They came into my home. I need a full intelligence file on Marcus Rodriguez." The colonel exhaled slowly. "I'll send everything by morning." And Colonel. "Yeah, this conversation never happened." "What conversation?" Click. I showered, washed the blood away, and looked at myself in the mirror. The man who stared back wasn't a suburban dad anymore. He was something older, sharper, colder. Ghost was back. Cedar Sinai felt like a place where hope went to battle with reality. Madison lay connected to machines that beeped rhythmically, her face pale, her body wrapped in bandages. She didn't speak. She didn't look at anyone except Mom. She flinched at shadows. Dr. Chen pulled me aside. "Your daughter's injuries are extensive," she said gently. "Her body will heal. But the emotional trauma, that may take years, years, years. Rodriguez didn't just hurt my daughter. He stole her sense of safety, her ability to trust, her belief that her father could protect her." "Mr. Blake," Dr. Chen added, "your daughter keeps asking for someone named Ghost. She said Ghost will make the bad men go away. Do you know who that is?" I swallowed. "It's just someone from old stories." But Madison knew better. When she opened her eyes and saw me, her voice came out as a whisper. "Daddy, is Ghost coming?" I squeezed her hand. "Ghost is already here, sweetheart." She closed her eyes with a small, fragile smile. Victoria heard everything, and she was terrified. "Who is Ghost, Ethan? Someone I used to be? And what did he do?" "He made bad people disappear." She stepped back. No, Ethan, you can't do this. You can't throw your life away." "This isn't revenge," I said. "This is justice. Justice." You're talking like a psychopath. I looked at her with nothing left to hide. The man you married was the disguise. Coast was the truth. And Ghost failed our daughter once. He won't fail her again. My phone buzzed. Harrison delivered. The intelligence file was everything I needed. Rodriguez's safe houses, his lieutenants, his schedule, his weaknesses, his betrayals. Even which cops were on his payroll. I kissed Madison's forehead. "I'll fix this," I whispered, and then I walked out. East LA smelled like fear masquerading as respect. I drove slowly, studying the territory. Every alley, every lookout, every painted symbol of dominance. Rodriguez thought he ran this neighborhood, but he'd never met the man who specialized in dismantling empires alone. His base of operations was Viper's Den, a strip club turned fortress. Gang members watched every angle. Lookouts on the roof. Corrupt cops doing drive-bys to check in. Perfect. This wasn't a fight. It was a puzzle. And I'd been solving puzzles like this since I was 20. I parked 3 blocks away, stepped into the shadows, and let Ghost take control. My voice, my breath, my movements, everything shifted. The calm, deadly precision I buried years ago rose inside me like a tide. Rodriguez had no idea what kind of storm he'd summoned. His greatest mistake wasn't attacking my family. His greatest mistake was leaving me alive afterward.